And in this next one, we got Angela Hill and Fatima Kline. So Fatima Kline's looking to break in the big time, beating Angela Hill, and 25 years old. Perfect scenario here for her, really. She's fighting in the biggest fight of her life, Madison Square Garden. She's from and still trains in New York. And on top of that, she's sharing the card with her longtime training partner and friend, Aaron Blanchfield. So I'm sure that they got good training in together, and she's going to be prepped, ready to go. Even though Blanchfield isn't really a great look for Angela Hill conditioning-wise, getting your grappling on point, that's a great person to have. And I'm sure that Fatima's been watching Angela Hill fight for years, so we'll see if she has some tricks up her sleeve. She's ready to step up to this moment. But Angela Hill, she's lost her last fight, but I felt like she kind of looked on her way out in the fight with Tabitha Ricci last year, but she looked good in both her fights this year. She had faster starts. I think she looked a little faster, physically stronger, and I see people saying that they thought she looked worse, but I disagree with that. I think she's looked a little bit better even in losing efforts in her last couple performances than her fight last year. But you look at both these girls stylistically, Fatima Kline, jiu-jitsu base. She has a good background in sport jiu-jitsu. She won some tournaments, and her striking is really what she's shown off more recently, though. She's fast. She can bounce in and out of range. She's a stance switcher. She's better when she can be the fighter controlling the center and going forward, getting in, getting out with her 3-2s or 2-3s. And she mainly just throws that combination the entire fight. And her height makes her stand up effective because she's 5'6", one of the tallest fighters in the division, and decent kicks. Prior to the last fight, we hadn't really seen her ever hurt anyone with her kicks, but she did get that head kick knockout, so she showed that ability. If you pressure her, she has decent counters, but she's not very powerful, and she is going to try to take you down at that point. Good timing on the doubles, decent takedowns. She'll cage push. I would say her wrestling is kind of average, but when she gets on top, she's aggressive, good ground and pound. She'll work her way into dominant positions, but I have seen her get swept. I have seen her lose position, and she only has one submission win in MMA, so I think her grappling is opportunistic, and she can be explosive, but it's a little overrated. She still needs to figure out her ground game for MMA a little better, but her aggression has gotten her 5 finishes, and her one loss was out of this weight class. It was at 125 versus Jasmine Judavicius, and in that fight she did get out-grappled, and I do think size played a factor, but she also had a few bad moments on the mat versus Victoria Dudakova, so I could see her maybe trying to keep this fight standing and using her speed, but conditioning for Kline is good. Probably you can expect her to have a slight edge in the conditioning over Angela Hill, even though Hill usually doesn't get tired in her fights. But you look at Angela Hill, she's high volume, decent hand combinations, leg kicks, front kicks, spins, mixes and elbows. Her clinch game, her grappling is definitely improved significantly over the years, and I feel as if she might be the better wrestler and clincher in this matchup here. So on the feet, I mean, the thing with Angela is she doesn't have the power to get those eye-popping shots for the judges or get respect at times, and she gets backed up constantly, and even if she's landing the cleaner shots, she could be losing optically. So I think that this fight's a lot closer than the odds, though. That's the one thing that's kind of throwing me off in terms of my prediction here, because if you're looking at it, look at the opponents that Kline has fought. I mean, really low-level victories, and I feel like, yeah, Angela's taken some losses, but the girls that she's losing to have already had a ton of experience before getting to Angela Hill, and when she's fought opponents that didn't have that experience, like a Fatima Kline, she's been able to get the jump on them more than often than not. And on the feet, I do think it's going to be very competitive. I don't think like Kline's going to run away with the stand-up. I think Hill is going to be able to put numbers together a little better be a little more fluid, but Kline might be able to just be on the pressure, use her height, and be able to land maybe a little bit harder. But I don't know if Fatima's going to be able to really get takedowns, and I think Angela should try to mix in the clinch, maybe even put Kline on her back and control her there. The submission threats, obviously a lot more on the Kline side, but like I said, she only has one submission victory in her career in MMA, so I think that really this fight could go either way. So at the odds, I'm going to say Angela Hill via split decision in this one. Another one of these super close fights that she gets into, and she'll get the nod this time. So I don't have a super, strong opinion on who wins this fight. I think it's going to be really competitive, really close. So I just feel like Angela Hill is being disrespected on the line. I do think Kline is a really good prospect, but I think her grappling is a little overrated. And then to expect her to be a minus 420 favorite in a more striking-oriented fight versus Angela Hill, I just don't agree with that at all. So I'm going to go with Angela Hill here and say she's able to pull this upset and become I think it would be her first win on a pay-per-view in her career. So I'm going to say Angela Hill is able to do that.